Hey, welcome back. I've got some news for Warhammer the Old World, I think. I think a bunch of people have seen this by now, but in case you haven't, there seems to have been some leaked sprues. So the story goes, this guy went to a car boot sale, or I don't know exactly what they're called, but essentially it's like an outdoor flea market is how I understand it. Um, which is a thing that happens in North America. I'm familiar with them. Maybe it was even indoor. They're called a boot sale anyways, is what I gather. Same idea. People selling stuff interpersonally just to random people, setting up a temporary stall or table, and you go there and they sell their stuff to you, whether it's just random, like I'm having a yard sale, but I'll do it with everybody else, or I'm like, a guy who buys up video games and resells them at a market. We've all seen those guys for the most part, I'm sure. But people do sell Warhammer at these. People do buy Warhammer at these, and they'll be like, oh, look at this thing I got at the boot sale. This guy got 3 sprues. The story is he paid £1 each. So £3, he bought 3 sprues. One of them was a Tomb King chariot. So the old Tomb King chariot, nothing special. I didn't take a picture of it, or sorry, the guy didn't take a picture of it. He just said it's a Tomb King sprue. And if there is a picture of it, I haven't seen it. But it's not exciting. It's the sprue that we know. Someone got that for £1. That's a pretty good deal because they probably go for on sprue £15 or £20. I don't know, but you know, old Warhammer goes for a lot of money for some reason. And then he got this one. This is a Flesh Eater's Court sprue. I don't know what else to call it. I guess it could be for Warcry or something, but this is not a sprue I recognize. I looked around, I didn't see it anywhere, but I do recognize the outline of a ghoul. This is a Warhammer Fantasy ghoul, well, Age of Sigmar ghoul. They are gaunt, skinny, little cannibal vampire monster people, and they have hunched backs, gangly limbs. They have big furry mohawks on their backs. It's hard to see, but they have like monster hands. And essentially, they are monsters. But normally, they don't have weapons. These guys have halberds. They have swords. Um, there's lots of heads here that it's hard to see, but they look like ghoul heads. This is a sprue that doesn't exist anywhere that I can find, anyways. And if you can find this and I'm wrong, that's great, and I will, retract this video. But I think the next picture is even going to prove that even if this one is something that is out there, the next one isn't, because it's not for Age of Sigmar. This is for Age of Sigmar. This is not going to come to Fantasy. This is not going to come to Old World, I would think. This is going to go to Flesh Eater's Court, and we are not going to see anything for vampires for some time, as they're not part of the initial phase release schedule for Old World that they've told us about. This sprue, though, is unmistakably, undeniably, a Warhammer Fantasy sprue. I can say that because, well, this is Bretonnian. I know it's Bretonnian because it's a horse with wings, which is a Pegasus. Okay, humans have those. High elves have them. Dark elves have them. So maybe it's not Bretonnians, except it's also got a fleur-de-lis there and there. I think there. And that's a fleur-de-lis. And that's a fleur-de-lis. That's a big fleur-de-lis. This is a Bretonnian Pegasus. Also, it's difficult to see, but when you look at the original, which I'll link, it does say 2023. This is not from the original run of, or even the last run of Warhammer Fantasy. This isn't a leftover sprue that was printed, as a prototype in 2012, 2013, which is what I thought maybe was possible at the start. This is a new sprue of a Bretonnian Pegasus, likely a character because it's got a tactical rock, and they usually don't give those to individual units. They tend to go to heroes and stuff. They go stand on their big rock. So, in likelihood, this is a Pegasus, not a knight, but a Pegasus Lord hero. Probably not a special character. Probably just going to be a generic Pegasus Lord. I suppose it's possible with the 2 heads that maybe this could be built as a fancy special character variant. That is also a possibility. We can also see there is no knight stuff on here. At least I can't see any rider. I mean, maybe that's what that is. I don't know what's going on there. At the bottom, just below the wings and this other bottom half of the horse, or half of the horse at the bottom, that could be a piece of a rider, I guess. But I mean, I don't see enough on here to make a whole rider. So I would say this is a brand new, soon to be released old world Bretonian. Based on what we learned at Warhammer Fest, they are getting new stuff. They're supposedly only getting new stuff in resin, but clearly that was not the case. Although they also told us something else, I forget what it was, that everybody jumped on and said that this is the new truth, and they were spreading something that came across fairly negative. I do forget what that whole thing was now, because it was not the case. It was corrected, whatever it was. It's possible that the resin stuff being, all the new stuff being resin, that might not have been true. Maybe some new stuff is resin. I still think that those characters look plastic. And I'm wondering if we are going to find out a bunch of this stuff is plastic, and maybe that they had the wrong information, or that they just didn't want to share that they were producing new plastics at that time. But yeah, I expect sometime this week they're going to address this. They might not address it right away, because there is a possibility this is legitimately a leak, that someone, for whatever reason, somehow stole these from the from Warhammer World, from the design studio, wherever. Maybe it's a case of like Commander Dante, who randomly got sent out. His new plastic Primaris body got sent out to a lucky person who bought the Finecast like second edition model. And that's how the world found out he was getting a plastic. But I think this is actually probably going to be something they address fairly quickly. We're going to see a nice community article, if not this week, the week after, talking about this brand new Bretonian plastic kit. I don't think they'll ignore this. They tend to answer these fairly quickly. And I think this is a marketing scam. Not scam, I guess, but sort of. I think that somebody was sent out with some sprues, and just was allowed to sell them out of his trunk, and then he got back in his car and drove back to the office. Maybe he was even told, like, hey, you're going on vacation over there this weekend. You're taking like a weekend away. Go off and, hit up that local boot sale. Take these with you and just find people who look like they're selling Warhammer. Go sit next to them. We know there's Warhammer people going to be selling. Park in that area, sell this stuff, and then leave. Nobody knows who you are. And then these will get out into the wild, and hopefully some of this stuff will start popping up on Reddit like it did. And it's going to build hype. They sold these for £1. Wherever it was done, however it was done, if this was sold for £1, this was, £20,000, £100,000 of free marketing, whatever it costs. Marketing seems to cost a lot of money. I never understand how a movie has like $150 million of marketing budget when, most of us only ever see like a trailer. So yeah, there was going to be a ton of marketing, or they could just get it out there for free. Or who knows, maybe this guy even is an employee and he's just saying that he bought it. And we're never going to be able to prove one way or another where this guy got it, whether he stole it, whether he bought a stolen set of sprues, or if somebody handed it to him at a sale and it was just a big, like, again, viral, what do they call it? Guerrilla marketing? There's a term for it, viral marketing, when you go out and you basically show off a product, secretly stealth marketing, and get people to word of mouth do it for free. I really do think that this is a brand new kit. This is not fake. There's way too much work gone on here to make this look right. Not only as a Bretonian kit, but as an actual GW sprue. This just feels real. Yeah, I just expect this week we're going to get an official video. But yeah, Warhammer the Old World, it's probably coming out this year. There's a good chance this thing is going to be in that box. This is the kind of kit that you would put in a launch box. and Bretonians are likely in it. Tomb Kings are likely in it, and we're probably going to start seeing some new stuff very soon. Right now they are dealing with a warehouse crisis, it sounds like, because they're getting new warehouses up and running. I think it's because they also have new production facilities up and running. Um, and I know that Titanicus, they've announced, has been delayed until later in the year. I have a feeling it might also be that Titanicus is probably less important than this, and that Titanicus was probably supposed to come out like first, and then a month or two later drop this. I'm betting it's they want to keep this on track, and that we're going to get Titanicus last minute, like end of November. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling. This to me is a real Bretonian kit that is unheard of, unseen, made in 2023, and we are getting this army, this release this year. So I'm going to start saving up money. I just bought something today that now I regret because it's going to just be something I need to work on justifying the cost of and paying off that has nothing to do with Warhammer. And yeah, I kind of wish I hadn't bought it now, you know, because I want to spend money on this, and I think I'm going to be spending money on it a lot sooner than it seems, and around the same time I've been hoping. So, anyways, thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts or comments, if you have any insight on where this has come from, please share it down below. And as always, have a great day.